Morning, people, or afternoon, depending on where you're joining from. Happy Sunday. So, this morning, we have a very special location. Can you see that? That is worth me being completely out of focus and out of frame as far as I'm concerned. That's Yosemite Falls. Good morning. I see you've joined one person. It's good to see your shining face. So it is 8 a.m. Pacific time. I'm Rachel Rudwall, and we're at Yosemite National Park, which is in the middle of California and one of the most famous national parks in the US. The first thing I want to do is show you a really good view of the famed Yosemite Falls. So let me know if you're ready. Oh, check that out. That's not bad, right? So, Yosemite National Park has been around a while. As it turns out, it actually used to be more like a theme park, kind of. So if you've ever been to or heard anything about Central Park in New York, Yosemite used to have like skating rinks, they did curling, they had ski hills, and for a while they even had like a dance pavilion on this famed lake. But what's unimaginable to me is having this wild space with waterfalls like that surrounded by a bunch of super touristy, uber developed stuff. Hi JJ, morning sunshine. Nowadays, thanks to the National Park Service, Yosemite National Park is much better protected. That is Lower and Upper Yosemite Falls. So if I stop, get you a real good view. See the lower falls tumbling down in the forefront and the upper falls up higher. What's pretty cool about this park and like every national park, thanks for the likes. It is so pretty here, JJ. Thanks for watching. I am living it like you love getting outdoors. I saw your recent post from YouTube. If you have ever watched JJ on his live streams for Facet Travel, show some love. Look at those hearts. Throw some hearts on it. Throw some thumbs up. The dude is good at adventure. So, again, if you're just joining, thanks for joining us. Today, we're at Yosemite National Park. This is one of the US's most famous national parks. Now, people of European descent anyway have been coming here since the 1800s, but there were tribes who of course lived on the land. My understanding is they survived off of a lot of acorns. It was one of the main components of their diet. I don't know if you know any acorn recipes, but let me know. Throw it in the comments below. So in Yosemite National Park, you have all these different trails. I'm going to show you what I'm on right now. This is one of the paved trails. It's a part of what's called the Loop Trail that goes 13 miles around the rim of the park. And we're in a valley. So if you look up, you can see the valley walls. The sun is just breaking. It is a gorgeous view. Is it Tinger? Hey, am I gonna climb Half Dome? That's such a good question. So I'm not climbing Half Dome right now. What I dream of doing someday is doing that hike. They close off a lot of the paths and specific hikes in the wintertime because it's actually pretty treacherous right now. So there was a really big snow last week. Here are the last remnants. See all that? What's crazy is just yesterday, all of the paths were covered in snow and ice. So, do you ever go hiking when it's wintertime? Because I have personally been on some precarious hikes where I didn't have trekking poles or what are called traction devices, and I got halfway up a mountain and then it was like whiteout conditions and I regretted my life and I was like, this is how you die. So if you do come to a place like this, you decide to do one of their hikes in the wintertime, make sure to bring at least a good hiking stick. I recommend trekking poles, but a lot of the hikes at this time of year are a little precarious, so you want to be safe. You can't actually do some of the most trails at this time of year because they're closed off. But look at that view. So I didn't camp out here this time. Normally, JJ asked, normally I spend my time backpacking and camping. So I'll carry in all my gear, set up camp. Yesterday, for example, we hiked 12 miles. Look at that view. Oh, and the heavens opened up and the angels sang. So normally I will go backpacking, I'll set up camp, you know, you carry in your water filter, all your food for a weekend, stuff like that. This time, it's my birthday week, so I stayed at a famous lodge called the majestic Yosemite Lodge. It's pretty baller, you guys. I don't know if you've ever heard about it. It was called the Awani, but now it's the majestic Yosemite. Oh, look at that morning light. I feel like there are angels all around me. So, if you are just joining, I'm Rachel, and we're coming to you from Yosemite National Park. If I sound like I'm a little out of breath, it's because I'm walking uphill to give you the best view of Lower Yosemite Falls. Get ready. You ready? You ready? I am. Hey, thanks for the happy birthday wishes. Okay, here it comes. Oh man, yes. Thanks for throwing the lights on this, man. So good, right? There's even a little rainbow. Do you see that? So there's spray coming off of Lower Yosemite Falls. If you look kind of in the middle of the screen, in the middle of the falls, got a beautiful rainbow. Yeah, look at all those legs. If you are just joining, I'm Rachel. This is Yosemite National Park, and you guys, get ready for a sick view. It is first light. We're at Yosemite Falls. Right now I'm at Lower Yosemite Falls, and then I'm gonna walk back and give you this baller view of the entire falls. Get ready, all right? Oh, JJ, I don't wanna go swimming. Would you go swimming in this? Okay, for what it's worth, it is currently 27 degrees. First light just broke over the hills. Sun's rising about 7 a.m. here right now, so you can see it through the trees. That, ladies and gentlemen, that is the sunrise. So I want to know, we got a guy named JJ who's an amazing live streamer. And he also does a lot of live streams for Facet Travel, so I'm sure you know him already. He's saying I should go for a swim. It's 27 degrees Fahrenheit. What is that? Like -3, 4 Celsius? If you're in the rest of the world and you actually use the metric system properly, unlike us here in the States. Would you go swimming? I know that that waterfall has a little rainbow in the middle. There ain't no pot of gold when it's 27 out. It is way too cold for a swim. Should not feed the coyotes. Okay, yes, I agree with that. So, I hope I'm saying your name right, Tinger. You should not feed the coyotes. That is true. You shouldn't ever feed wildlife. I had this really cool run-in with a deer yesterday. It was this light gray little buck, and he had these horns. He was only like a 4-pointer, but he was walking down the trail. And so it was like kind of a shh moment where you go, do we duck down and try to minimize ourselves and let him walk past? So we decided to do it, and this little buck walked from, say, me to that log, past. It was like 10 feet away. And this little deer stopped maybe like 10 feet away. 4-point buck, reached down, grabbed some leaves, looked at me like, sup? And then just kept walking. And what's magic about a place like Yosemite National Park is, it is wildlife everywhere. There are a lot of bears, so you have to bear box your food. You can't leave it in the car. There are a lot of coyotes. Some of the animals are starting to hibernate, although you see a lot of scat on the trails, which is just the technological term for poop. Good morning. I see we have some new viewers. So for those of you who are just joining, this morning we are in Yosemite National Park. It is one of California's most famous parks. It's been around a long time. The National Park System is now celebrating its 100-year anniversary, and that is Yosemite Falls. Now that's the lower falls, and I want to take those of you who are just joining. So Safel, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are. Oh good, I'm saying people's names correctly. So Bill, hi, amazing country, right? So the US is a fascinating place as far as landscapes are concerned. You have so many different types of places that you can explore within one country. When I first finished school, I took a 10,000-mile road trip around the western US, which is like a great way to devalue your car really quickly. Just put a bunch of mileage on it. However, Yosemite is one of the places I didn't get to. So for me, it's really important to be able to share this with you, because this is one of the exquisite natural settings that the US offers. Look at that. So we're gonna go back down the paved trail. And again, for those of you who are just joining, what's cool about Yosemite and a lot of the national parks is there's a loop road, like a ring road around the valley, because Yosemite is in a valley, or at least the part where I am right now. It's a pretty big park. It's in the center of California, covers a lot of ground. And so if you look down, you see I'm actually on a paved path right now, right? So depending on how much you like to hike, there are a lot of different options here for hiking. If you don't love to hike, but you just want to see the most iconic views like Half Dome, which unfortunately we can't see right now from here, the light hasn't hit it yet, or El Capitan, you can do all of that because they have this paved trail. The paved trail is 13 miles, goes around the basin within the valley, and there's a road system as well. You can take shuttles around. So if you visit and you're like, well, I don't have a car, or I don't want to hike everywhere, that's fine. The shuttle system is really extensive. And I have a piece of advice for you that is so simple, it's gonna blow your mind. So let me know if you're ready. Hi, Valerie. Thanks for joining. I am being safe. Guess what? We were just talking about not feeding the animals. That's one way to be safe, Valerie. So here is the tip that's so simple, you'll be like, why didn't I think of that? Do you want to know how to get a national park pretty much all to yourself? Yeah? Throw some likes on it. Okay. To get a national park all to yourself, you come in the winter. I know, you're like, oh my God, so cold. That sounds miserable. Not if you pack the right things. What's really crazy about the national park system is this is a Sunday morning, and there are a total of 2 people on the path up there. Good morning, Nicholas. Thanks for joining. So you're here just in time. We're at Yosemite National Park, and I'm telling my favorite tip for getting the park pretty much to yourself. And that tip is come in the wintertime. And if you can come on a weekday, if you can afford a vacation day or something like that, there are so few people here. Yesterday morning, for example, I got up at sunrise, well before sunrise, like 5:30 a.m. Sun comes up at 7. I did the same this morning, and I went out and I started photographing this place called Mirror Lake. Mirror Lake is known for, you guessed it, really great reflective views of the surroundings, and you can see Half Dome from there. And what's super crazy is, envision, you're at a national park, you're going to one of the most iconic spots in the entire park. It's gonna be packed, right? It's like, this is the best view, of course it's gonna be packed. If you come here in the winter, you're willing to get up early and just bring your tea in a thermos, you will have the entire spot without a single other person. So yesterday morning at Mirror Lake, there was no one. The lake was frozen over, it was pristine snow, and I didn't see a single other soul till 9:30 in the morning. 3 hours. 3 hours that I had this place to myself yesterday. Fairly crazy, right? So if you want to get a view of the national parks, and you want to have less crowding, less people on your walkway, if you want to have the view where you take a bunch of selfies of yourself and there aren't people photobombing, it's more likely to be deer. Come in the wintertime. Pack a hat, gloves, long johns, layers, put some tea in a thermos or coffee if you're a coffee person like I am, and live your best life. If you're just joining this morning, we are at Yosemite National Park, and that, ladies and gents, is Yosemite Falls. It is iconic. It is gorgeous. If you've ever heard of John Muir or the John Muir Trail, this is where that name became famous. So John Muir is a naturalist. He actually started out by working at a sawmill within what is now the national park. And he was asked to help rebuild this sawmill, and he was a young guy, and he was like an outdoor explorer. He spent 2 years rebuilding this sawmill, piece by piece, with fallen trees. And then, when he wrapped up that job, he became a really outspoken advocate of the natural world. So John Muir is one of the people who's instrumental in getting this beautiful place made into a national park. So Yosemite Falls is one of those spots that we get to see unobstructed, without tons of development, thanks to John Muir. Hi, Life of Mike. The falls are so amazing. Isn't that gorgeous? Thank you for joining. So Life of Mike agrees with the point that visiting places in off-peak times, it's a key way to get access. You know what else is really cool? Oftentimes, if you travel anywhere where it's shoulder season, meaning it's not the peak travel time, it's not holidays, it's not summertime, you can get heavy discounts on lodging and stuff. So I always recommend going places when it's like rainy season or when it's winter, when people are not inclined to think that it's a good time to visit. Usually a fairly good time to visit if you're willing to just put up with the elements a little bit more. You can save like 50% on a trip. So if you're just joining us, I'm Rachel, and this is Yosemite National Park, one of the most iconic national parks within the United States. Nicole, thank you for joining. It's so fun to be able to share a place like this because I grew up playing outdoors. I grew up not being allowed to really play a whole lot of video games and stuff. So to be somewhere like Yosemite completely centers you. There are so few sounds and so few people at this time of year. It's you and the trees and the rock walls and very famous places like Half Dome or El Capitan, places you might have read about, heard about from magazines and from storybooks. So for everyone who joined, Ramsey, you love cross-country skiing in Yosemite in winter? That sounds dreamy. I've actually never been cross-country skiing, but if you have been cross-country skiing, throw some likes on that, because Ramsey is a pro, okay? I've never done it, but I've seen old photos. They have these cool old photos in a lodge called Ahwahnee, formerly Ahwahnee, now Majestic Yosemite Hotel if you come here this year. But they have these really cool old photos on the walls, and the lodge has been maintained from the late 1800s and early 1900s decor of the park, and so you can see pictures of people skiing back in the day, cross country and downhill. It's really rad. You'll love it if you have a chance to visit the Majestic Yosemite Hotel. Nicholas wants to know, is there a nice hotel on the grounds or do we have to camp? Thank you for asking that. So Nicholas and everybody else who might be interested in coming to Yosemite, there are a variety of options for you here. You can camp, tons of campgrounds, although they do get busy in the summertime, and you have to go online to Reserve America. That's the website for the National Park System, and try to reserve a campsite really early. Usually the window will open up 3 months in advance, and you can try to book a campsite then. You can also get backcountry permits if you like backpacking like I do and you're willing to pack in your camp. So everything from the tent to the water filtration to your food for a couple of days. Additionally though, if you want to splurge a little bit, or you're not into camping, then you can stay at a couple of different lodges and hotels. this weekend, because it's my birthday weekend, I'm staying in a hotel. So I don't have to camp in the cold this weekend. I just get to wake up in a warm bed, see that fall. It's pretty nice. So I'm staying at a place called the Majestic Yosemite, which is a historic hotel. Been around a long time, and it is absolutely beautiful. It's kind of magic. Like, it's one of those places you walk in, you go, where am I? It feels like it's another era. There's another called the Yosemite Lodge, I believe, which, if you look down this little road right here, this road basically ends at the Yosemite Lodge. Now, if you remember where we are right now, that is Yosemite Falls. And this, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of this road is where Yosemite Lodge is, which is pretty rad. So, if you want to stay in a place that's super close to all the action, both the hotel and the lodge are really close. This morning at about 6:30, I walked from my hotel to these falls and beat everybody else out here. Very first people to the falls, and it was just a little 2-mile walk along a paved road. So it was super duper easy. So, everybody who has joined, you are amazing. Thank you for sharing this awesome place with me. It's Yellowstone National Park, an absolutely beautiful Sunday morning, wintertime, crisp, cold, 27 degrees Fahrenheit, which is negative something Celsius. Cold enough to make your fingertips hurt. And I am gonna go explore some more before I have to head home today. So, here's a last view of Yosemite Falls. Got upper and lower falls. You can see the spray and the morning light, which is just dreamy. Thank you, Sandra, for the birthday wishes. Thank you, everyone, for sharing this absolutely stunning place. I look forward to sharing more with you next week, so always tune in. You can check me out. My name's Rachel Rudwall. I'm really glad you were able to join. Enjoy your Sunday.